I might fall asleep.
Stop it.
I need.
Stop it. What the hell are you talking about?
I'm gonna drink coffee on the show.
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's been a while, and I'm happy to have you guys with us. The NFL season is upon each and every one of us. It's week one of the 2023 season. We're ready to make this happen. You're watching the NFL Strategy Show right here on the Stochastic YouTube channel. What better way to kick it off? To kick off the month of September, kind of, with the First Look Show. I'm Dave Loughran at Laffy_D, LOUGHY_D on the Twitters, joined by Ben Rasa at JazzRaz DFS. Many may call him the Jack of Trades, master of many. That's just me. But we put together a teaser reel yesterday for this. Found some good stuff. The hippos, the gorillas, you trying the fire Nathaniel Hackett after week one.
Yeah, how'd that go?
A whole lot more. So I'm looking forward to a great season. Super happy to have you guys with us. What's going on, brother?
Couldn't be more excited. You get that itch. Late August, baseball's dragging. Want to talk some football? I always get a little jump on you because I've been doing college football for 2 weeks now. So I'm in the flow of things, but doesn't get better than NFL. Doesn't get better than seeing multiple milli top prizes in the lobby. A lot to get to. Feeling good. I am tired though, because I woke up to watch FIBA. Like you need. And then I went to the eye doctor. A lot going on today.
How are the eyes?
Guys are fine.
Yeah.
I will say this real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yes, just hear me out. I went to the eye doctor in May of 2022. So when May of 2023 hit, naturally they sent you like you're overdue for an eye thing, make your appointment. And I put it off. And then in June, they sent me like, hey, you really should do this. You know, it's important. Do it. I swear to God, the August emails were like, if you go blind, you only have yourself to blame. Like it was getting aggressive. So I finally made the appointment because they were getting real angry.
They're trying to like strong arm you into going in for an optometrist appointment.
They're just like, you might go blind and you'll never know. And it's because you didn't make the appointment. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna.
Yeah. And then how are you going to call us? Yeah, that's nuts. I've never been to an optometrist. My wife's been trying to get me to make an appointment. Never been there. Probably should. But hey, happy to have you guys here. Woo! Football time, baby. Big slate. Really, week one is always crazy because the prices come out so far in advance. So like some guys are going to be wildly overpriced. Some guys are going to be crazy underpriced. It makes for like, I was just going over wide receivers yesterday and there are so many of them. Also, many of them towards the bottom, running backs towards the bottom. They may not make you excited, but some of these dirt cheap running backs are really appealing. Now, usually Ben and I, when it comes to the First Look Show, we're kind of digging in with you. Like first time of the week, it's a Tuesday. So we're taking a cursory look with you, trying to set the foundation. I dug in a little bit yesterday because why not? Like we had plenty of time to make it happen. Nothing to recap or anything like that. This is going to be fun. It's going to be tilting. You know what's going to happen. 1:15, 12:30 is going to roll around. You're going to go, by God, this is the life. I just love it. Then 1 o'clock kickoff, you go, hell yeah, we're back. Then like 1:20 Eastern, you go, I don't have that guy, and he scored twice on the first 2 drives. But then some other crazy stuff will happen, and you're back in the game. The range of emotions, though, with an NFL Sunday I'm not really sure. I know all of you guys in chat know exactly what I'm talking about. Like the range of emotions from Sunday, because you and I always go back and forth. They're not really easy to explain to someone who hasn't been in the thick of it.
No. Yeah. 120 is generous. It's always like somehow it's always Naheem Hines. It's just like, wait, I didn't know he was on that team and he just scored a 60-yard swing pass. And then you look and you're like, oh, nobody will have him. And then you see like 4.7%. And you're just like, well, this could be a problem. But yeah, I mean, you're never dead. You're never out of it. The swings are wild. Defensive touchdowns will be had. But the one thing I wanted to kind of, because you mentioned salaries were out so early. For the most part, I think we avoided like major, Burrow, obviously, and we'll talk about him. But there weren't like marquee slate changing drama in the preseason for the most part. Would you say that's fair?
100%. I think last year, the year before, there was one or two guys where they were just mega chalk. There are some cheap running backs, like the Jonathan Taylor situation.
Yeah.
Right. But then at the same time, there isn't a definitive like bell cow that's getting all of this. Wouldn't be like, oh, DeAndre Swift and Kenny Gainwell got hurt 3 days before the week, Penny and Swift got hurt 3 days before the season started. And now Kenny Gainwell is going to see all of the work in the passing game and on the ground. Or, I could go through a bunch of different scenarios where, give me a clear cut backup. Like we know that's the guy and the starter is out and he went down early. Like if Gus Edwards were starting because Dobbins decided he didn't want to play, Gus Edwards would be wildly popular, right? We've seen that every year. There isn't a lot of that this year. But at the same time, Ben, there's going to be those like 10, 12, 13% owned guys that are down there towards the bottom that you're also going to have to make tough decisions on.
Oh, no doubt about it. But I'm kind of glad we don't have, that $4,100 guy that we're like, he's going to be
agreed
50% owned. And what do we do? And we're going to be talking about some things like that. We have some exciting news on the contest selection front and things like that. But I was happy that when I took my first look, it's a pretty fair board. Even taking a peek at our ownership, which will get updated as we get closer to Sunday, there's not glaring massive chalk just yet.
The one thing that always stands out to me when I think about tilting 30 minutes into a slate was the Eric Ebron day, where
you got to be more specific. That's every week.
Well, my day started off great. That was the problem. Like just touchdown. We're in business. And then Eric Ebron has 2 receiving touchdowns and a rushing touchdown in the first half. And that was it. Like, you don't have Eric Ebron at tight end at like $3,000 with 3 first half touchdowns. It was a wrap. But it's time to talk some football. Hey, one more time, guys. Happy to have you guys with us. I think everyone's as excited as we are. I've been talking a lot of baseball. Love doing those shows with Josh. But this is the wheelhouse, baby. This is where I belong. So can we get to 100 thumbs up out of the gate and we'll get into this? I think it's doable. One public service announcement. I think you guys are going to like this. Actually, it's 2 things. First, we are going to be doing a little bit of podcast exclusive content. I'm really excited for that. For football season. Tuesdays and Fridays, right? Wherever podcasts are available to you, we got you covered. So after this show, Ben and I are going to be hitting on single game and 3 max strategy. There's not a lot of that content out there. We figured why not supplement these shows with some single entry, 3 max content, 5 max, those smaller type of contests that I know a lot of you guys like to get into. We'll keep it short, 20, 30 minutes, hit on our strategy for that. That'll be in podcast form. And then Friday, after Greg and I get done the strategy show, podcast exclusive over there, we're doing afternoon slate Sunday breakdown, which I think will be helpful to a lot of you guys because those prize pools are huge. So if you want to check that out, head over there, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, you name it, subscribe to the pod. And here's the kicker. We are giving away, it's football season. We're just doing everything. We are giving away a full year, a full season of our top NFL max package, the Sims package. Normally it's $199 a month. We're giving away an entire year of that. And then we're giving away 2 months of the max package to second and third place. What do I mean? If you leave a review, we're going to pick the ones that we like the most, whether it's the funniest, doesn't have to be, the most sincere, the most honest, just the best overall comment or review on our podcast, on Apple Podcasts. At the end of this week, we're going to pick our favorite one. Our favorite one. We're going to showcase it, blast it everywhere. Our top 3. First gets a full season of NFL Sim. The entire package. It's a massive dollar amount. Then the second and third place that we come up with, we'll get a free month of that as well. That's $199 each. Leave us your favorite. Leave us the best review you think you can do. Make it honest. Make it sincere. If it's funny, that's great too. I think it's a pretty good giveaway, Ben.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm really excited about the podcast only content. I'm really excited, about we revamped a lot, and we're going to talk about that with the Sims being part of these packages now. Really game-changing stuff. But the beautiful thing is no matter what we're doing, we're going to be talking football.
Yeah, I guess if Google has it too, I guess that works as well. Leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. How about that? Yep. Leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll check them out. We're going to review everyone one by one. I'm excited for it because I know so many of you guys have been listening for a long time and, you know, are in on so many of the jokes and our thoughts and just like know us, you know, and we know each other now. So just the most honest, whether, again, doesn't have to, you don't have to try and be the next Norm Macdonald to win this. Leave what you feel is honest, you know, and if it's good, I think that'll resonate. Free year, a free season, the entire season you're getting. Think about that. On $199 a month, it's a lot. Second and third place are going to get a free month as well. So leave that. We'll review them. And then next week for week 2, deeper dive, we'll do a little Hall of Fame edition style and throw down our favorite comments for everything. All right. Let's make it happen. We are over 100 likes already, Ben. We're in business. Let's do it. You ready? You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, dude. Let's talk quarterbacks. This is weird to me because our ownership is updated. Normally on Tuesdays, we don't have updated ownership. But because it's week 1, we do. I get it because he's so expensive. And, you know, the stack is kind of weird. Lamar Jackson, though. I'm going straight here with you. And then we're going to get into your boy Sam Howell, who I'm sure you have some words for a little bit later in the show. We have to start this off with Lamar Jackson because at the top tier, you have Lamar, you have Jalen Hurts, you have Justin Fields. You also have Joe Burrow, who we'll talk about whether or not he's going to be active. Man, Lamar Jackson at 8K, they're 10-point favorites, massive implied total. Todd Monken at the helm now as offensive coordinator. Do they end up throwing more? Is this passing attack more fluent than it was before? And outside of Mark Andrews, none of these pass catchers are really expensive. So what are you doing with Lamar Jackson and Baltimore stacks this week, at least early in the week?
Yeah, so the thing about Lamar, we know, we can get this out of the way. He can break any slate. Like, it's not a ceiling issue. It's what happens if the game goes kind of how it's projected. The Ravens are the biggest favorite on the slate. They're pushing 10-point favorites at home against the Texans. How likely is it that Lamar is running? Because that's really where the ceiling comes in late in the game. That's my biggest worry here. So not to punt the first question of the slate, but Lamar, I think we know that he's got the upside. But when I look at this matchup, I almost think it's counterintuitive. The easier the matchup, I think sometimes hurts his ability unless they get into a back and forth game. I mean, do you think that the offense looks massively different? You mentioned the changes. I don't want him being an efficient passer. I want him running wildly like Justin Fields has to do.
I don't see them taking that away from him, though. Like, it's still the most dynamic aspect of his game. I don't know. So would you rather just go to like Fields against Green Bay?
Yeah, well, I look at Baltimore and they had struggles certainly last year. It was kind of a lost year, but at times when they're really at their best, I don't really equate it with Lamar crossing the 100-yard bonus. I equate it like a very efficient. They're running like 4 or 5 backs. Lamar timely keeps, and he gives you a good output. But you mentioned he's expensive. He is the most expensive quarterback, and he's not. There was a window there where it was like Lamar can get the 100-yard bonus, and then Mahomes and Josh Allen might give you like 38 yards rushing. Now there are other dudes who can, Hurts is here, Fields is here. These guys can really move. I think I would take Fields straight up over Lamar this week.
Okay. Hey, I get it. It's just, and both of them are not getting a lot of ownership. I think one of the reasons is going to be that people go cheap. Like Sam Howell, Geno, Justin Herbert's not cheap, but he's the most popular right now. Lamar and Fields are at 3% ownership, man. That's what's wild to me because and Justin in chat said that the Baltimore Ravens are just going to run it all game. Yeah, they might. It would make sense, and we'll talk about J.K. Dobbins shortly. But I mean, God, they could just blow the roof off blow the top off of this game as well. And that's what I keep coming back to. I mean, 10-point favorites. What's their implied total sitting at? It's got to be around 28 or something.
Yeah, it's definitely healthy. It's just, you have a 44-point total in the game. And so, yeah, it's around that number, but you're like 27-17. I still worry, Lamar, again, if you're talking about tournament winning, you need to tap into that ceiling. He's going to have a fine game, but I think it's pretty clear for me. If I go to Lamar, I'll certainly have Texans run back because I think that the Texans need to pseudo cover or really push Baltimore.
Yep. Okay, that's fair. And when we do this podcast exclusive, like a little extended version of the strategy show today, I think we can provide some nuance when we're talking about tournament winning upside, but also if you're talking single entry and 3 max compared to a milli or the slant, or some of these huge contests.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, dude, look at some of these other quarterbacks on the slate. You have Hurts against the Patriots. I don't know how much I love that spot personally in Foxborough. I mean, you have a litany of weapons. You have AJ Brown, you have Devontae Smith, you have Dallas Goedert. Now, and don't let this go overlooked. DeAndre Swift in the passing game, I think, is going to be a menace when it comes to opposing defenses. You don't think so?
No, no matter what show I've ever done, when it's like DeAndre Swift has this great role, like he'll just be playing defense somehow. Like they'll just face it. It just
I'm not saying the roster DeAndre Swift by any stretch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised to see this team be able to do some things against even quality defenses. But I think I was surprised to see that Hurts has higher ownership than Lamar and Justin Fields. I think I like both of them a little bit more than him. Probably Fields number 1 in this spot.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I mean, there's a reason, and it's early in the week, but, giving people a sneak, it's on the screen right now. Quarterback ownership is very flat this week. And I think there's good reasons for that because you've got big time potential upside with Herbert and Tua. That game's got not a massive total, but massive for the NFL. I think we crossed look at this. It's over 50. I mean, 51 in some spots looking at OddsShopper. So you've got pocket passers that also might get there this week. It's a really weird blend at quarterback, but I'm with you. I don't really like Hurts this week.
I do think we need to talk about the Miami and Chargers spot. We can talk about both of these quarterbacks in the same sentence. I mean, Herbert, highest owned quarterback right now, pretty flat ownership at the position though. Like there's nothing here that really stands out according to our ownership projections right now where I go, wow, that's crazy. It's a good spot. Obviously, Miami's down significant players in the secondary, which is huge. Highest total game of the slate. Justin Herbert's going to stand out. Okay. You could stack him with Keenan Allen, with Mike Williams. Looks like Quentin Johnson's behind Palmer right now, which I find kind of interesting. That type of spot worries me as the wide receiver 3. But Gerald Everett is in there. Austin Eckler, obvious pass catching upside, really interesting. But on the other side, and I've been harping on this all off season, just from a best ball perspective, why I'm willing to take my chances on Miami. Last year, there were 5 300-yard passing games from Dolphins quarterbacks. Mind you, would have been more. Tua got hurt in 2 games, missed the rest of those games. Then he missed a handful of other games. And then Teddy was out for that as well. So you had Skylar Thompson in there. Throw that away. Of those 500-yard games, from I think 4 from Tua and 1 from Teddy. Mind you, Tua only played like 12 full games. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle had 9 combined 100-yard games, which means that there was only one of those 5 games where both of them didn't also have 100 yards, where Tua threw for 300. You get the bonuses on DraftKings for passing yards, for receiving yards. There's no one else to throw to on this team. So then the question becomes, can the Chargers slow down Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? If they can, then there's nowhere else for Tua to go. In essence, there really isn't, unless he's like dumping shit off to Raheem Mostert or going to Durham Smythe. But we do know that if this team functions competently, it's going to be 2 guys.
That's the good thing about it, because it's a blessing and a curse. Tua and Herbert, really, the chances that they get there with their legs is literally, as low as it can be. So that if they do hit their ceiling, the stack itself is incredibly lucrative. Like with Lamar, you have to get him right twice. Lamar could be an amazing play, but it could be isolated. He could have 3 touchdowns on the ground, and you don't want anyone. He also
and you used to just be able to single stack him with Mark Andrews and not worry about anybody else.
And that's not the case anymore. So it's a lot more complicated. If Tua crushes, the chances that Tyreek or Waddle or both don't have big games is almost 0%, honestly. Like they're tied so tightly together that's easily the best stacking game because you have statue QBs. But the tricky part for me, we've talked a lot about quarterback. I have like 4 other quarterbacks that I still think are interesting.
Yeah, so do I. That's why I'm saying there's so many ways to. If Burrow plays, are you going to Joe Burrow? I did want to ask you that because I have some concerns about that. I'm not even convinced that he's going to play in week 1. I don't actually know. Like with Jalen Waddle, I'm operating under the assumption that he will play. Do I know for sure? No. He said he feels good to go. So we'll run with that for now. It's Tuesday. We'll have more info later in the week. But what about Burrow in a divisional matchup after being out for a while?
Not for me. I mean, how many years in a row have I bet Cleveland at home against Cincinnati as a slight dog? 15 years in a row. It'll be 16. I like the Browns in that game. I'd rather have the Deshaun Watson stack, to be honest. I think that'll be very contrarian. Neither of those stand out, but Burrow is a hero call that I'm not willing to make this week.
Before we get into some of these low end guys, because there's a few of them that we have to talk about, are there any other mid-range guys that you want to dig into? I mean, I can rattle a couple off. Trevor Lawrence, Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith. Those are the guys that stood out to me as potentially viable on this slate.
Yeah, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, certainly. You mentioned a couple of games that are indoors. Good opponents. I like that spot against Indy. 45-point total in that game. I have 0 issues with going to Lawrence. Cousins, I don't know what to do there. Honestly, I'm kind of indifferent. My hope is to just not have him define the slate because they're about a 6-point favorite at home against Tampa Bay, who I don't think is going to be good. Certainly not on the Baker Mayfield train. And they have a kind of a new look offense. We'll see what Madison can do, but I think Lawrence for me is my favorite mid-range quarterback.
Yeah, I don't love Cousins this week. It's not that I don't hate, excuse me, I don't hate him. Look, this Tampa Bay team is probably going to be bad this year. How much of that is that their defense isn't going to be nearly as bad as the offense? I know there are some people out there that are buying into like, hey, Baker Mayfield looked great in the preseason. He has Chris Godwin. He's got Mike Evans. He's got weapons. Where are you at on this Bucs team?
I mean, I wasn't really high on again, it's like you got to remember they played in the South. 8-9 got it done. I'm just not sold on this team. Offensive line worries me. If you're looking really I mean, Baker is 4,900. I get it. And he's got experience. There are so many electric quarterbacks in the league now. The punt quarterback, unless you're jamming other positions, is really difficult because you're going to sacrifice a lot if Lamar or Herbert or one of these guys taps into their potential.
Yeah. Raymond Diaz said Vikings probably has the worst defense in the league. I mean, look, they're not good. I think if Sam Howell wasn't on this slate, you would actually see more ownership go to Baker Mayfield. Now, to be fair, they have a sub 20-point implied total. So they're not exactly looking to run up the scoreboard, but there are weapons there. We'll definitely talk about Rachaad White as well. But you look at this lower tier of quarterbacks, okay? You have Russell Wilson against Vegas. Are we buying into Sean Payton fixing this offense? You're not. Okay. I still like Cortland Sutton here today. I kind of always do.
Always.
Oh, well, think about it, man. You have Cortland Sutton and you have Marvin Mims. I don't see any way. I don't see any way that Jerry Jeudy plays this week. I think he misses at least a week or two. Don't you think?
I mean, it was a hamstring, which is not good. Patrick's gone. Like it's limited weapons. Let me be clear. I don't think Russell Wilson's going to have a terrible year. I just don't see myself building Denver stacks per se this week.
I don't either, but I do think I will get to a decent amount of Cortland Sutton at his price point under the assumption that Jeudy sits in this game.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anthony Richardson. I mean, with that, you're just hoping for the wheels, because from everything we saw in the preseason, and I know it's a limited sample, not exactly pinpoint precision when it came to throwing, the slinging the football. Jordan Love against Chicago, but then you get into that sub 5K. Desmond Ridder against Carolina, Baker Mayfield against Minnesota, and Sam Howell against Arizona. That's the spot that people are going to get to. He's the third highest owned quarterback right now in our ownership projections, behind Herbert and Geno Smith. I'll tell you, man, that feels gross at his ownership.
Doesn't feel good. Certainly I want to see what's going on with Loughran. I'm going to hope and operate that he does play, but we got to keep an eye on that. If not, Dotson is going to be crazy popular, certainly with the Howell stacks. And I get it. I don't know how much we need to force that at elevated ownership. Are you going to play? I know we just talked about him a little, but like, are you going to plan to play Richardson? I don't know what to do there, because I don't think he's going to play well, but if he doesn't play well, it might help him in fantasy.
If I do, it's without question a single stack. Like, I don't see how I'm getting to a double stack there. I know that you have some discounted options in Alec Pierce. I have no idea if Downs is going to be an every down guy. I truly have no idea whether it's going to be him or not. That's another question, right? Like, you have Isaiah McKenzie there, who's no longer in Buffalo. I think it probably has to be Pittman, right? And I don't know. Maybe you run Anthony Richardson naked without a stack and just hope that he produces and hope that you can get a ton of rushing yards at that price point. I'm not writing it off by any stretch, but I do think it's complicated, because do you really feel comfortable double stacking Anthony Richardson?
No, I don't feel comfortable. You just mentioned single stacking him, and I love
exactly.
Pittman's great too. He's such a good receiver. I
love
such a fan of him.
I love him.
But this is because, when I think of Anthony Richardson, I think of college football. This is where, like, in a perfect world, and we actually might talk a little about this, ironically, if I stacked up the Jaguars and there was super flex, I would just use Richardson as the bring back quarterback and full stack the game. I could see that type of mentality working with the game, because it feels like if the Jags crush, Richardson might get there by default in garbage time, running around, even with a couple picks, turnovers, kind of like the Jameis Winston formula of just like different, but the same concept.
Wait, are you telling me that you would? That's an interesting concept. So you're saying your run back would just be Anthony Richardson?
Yes.
Yo, I love that idea.
That's a wild strategy. Again, totally different format, but that can work.
I love that you're thinking about that.
Yeah. It's a fun concept to think about.
Yeah. Owner's Box, by the way. I did a review on it the other day. Up to $500 first match deposit bonus. I maxed it out because they have super flex contests for NFL. $50,000 up top for first place. $50,000 week one up top. They don't have the same size like single entry and 3 max contest as a DraftKings or FanDuel would, but that's to be expected. As long as they have that big flagship contest each week, I'm on board. I can't wait to play there. I love what you just said about that.
I'm telling you,
that is an intriguing concept without question. If you guys aren't at Owner's Box yet, I have something special to tell you as well. We just teamed up with them for the NFL season. We just created our most valuable subscriptions ever, right? We're now, and I'll get into this later, like now the Sims tool, which has never been discounted, which we've never given away for free or anything, is now included in the NFL package, along with our brand new contest generator. So you can generate all the lineups in there, simulate them, you get ownership, player project, all of our other stuff, MLB lineup generator, all that stuff in a single package. You sign up at Owner's Box using the link in the description. All right. You are getting a free month of our Sims Max tool, Sims Max package. It's not just the Sims. It's the Sims included with all of our NFL tools, including premium Discord, everything that we have, top stacks tool, everything you've heard about, but the Sims tool. which we've always had separate since we started it back in MLB season. $199 value for all of this when you sign up and deposit at Owner's Box. But listen, they have up to a $500 first match deposit bonus, which is massive. All of that stuff you're getting with the link in the description before week 1 of the season. You also get a $5 lightning lineup entry. You get a $5 DFS ticket when you sign up. That's just sweetening the pot at this point. Yeah.
How much stuff are they giving you?
I know, dude. I signed
that
up the other day. It's not like I need a free month of our stuff, but I wanted the DraftKings and FanDuel aren't giving me $500 deposit bonuses anymore.
No.
So I was like, all right, let me get that. Sign up using the link. Then you'll get a promo code email within like 24, 48 hours. You'll get your free month of the Stochastic Sims Max, not Pro, Max, the best package that we have. You're getting all of that for free, plus the deposit bonus. But the real reason I signed up there is I want to try Superflex DFS contests in football where stacking is key.
It's amazing. Like I said, as someone, I can't play college anymore in New York, but it was my first foray into DFS was college football DFS, and you can play a Superflex, and it's nuts. It's so fun. It's a totally different format. It's also unsolved, and that is the key. Anytime a site like this emerges and they're building it up and they have a different format, it's unsolved. And what I just said, I'm not saying this is the answer, but like, Lava, you didn't really like consider that really. You know what I mean? Where you've got the double quarterback. That's the type of stuff you can take advantage of over there.
That. Yeah. It's a really, it's unsolved. You're right. It's awesome. So check it out. Link in the description. You guys want that free month. Sign up, get the deposit bonus, and start playing some Superflex contests. 50K up top, the biggest Superflex contest you're going to find in the industry for sure. Got to be 18 years or older as well. And make sure to see terms and conditions for playthrough requirements. If you or someone who has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Check it out, guys. We're going to have some fun with that stuff this season. All right, these cheap quarterbacks. Are you on anybody else as far as like Love or Ritter or Mayfield go? Or are you going to be getting to a lot of Sam Howell against probably the worst team in the league on both sides of the football in the Arizona Cardinals?
Oh, they're the worst team in the league. I don't think I'm going to get to a ton. My goal is not to punt a ton at quarterback. I think that there's a big opportunity cost early in the season. I think there's flat totals. Weather is better. I'm going to try to land from Deshaun Watson up. If I do punt, it may be just blind stabs at Richardson or just a little of Sam Howell. I don't think I'm going to try to make hero calls with Ritter or I'm a big Pickett fan. We'll talk about him. This is not the spot, obviously. I think I'm going to keep it pretty lean in the bottom.
Last one I want to ask you, because I've seen some questions about this and some comments. Derek Carr against the Tennessee defense that was clearly a pass funnel defense last year. Honestly, my only concern here is that there's so many moving parts. And then you have Taysom Hill. Like, what are we getting out of this guy? You know, how involved is he going to be? You know what I mean? That's assuming he plays. I know he's dealing with an oblique, but does he just get all the does Derek Carr have a decent passing game now that now that Michael Thomas is back and Olave? I know there's no Alvin Kamara, but like they probably still try to run the football. And once they get down to the goal line, do we see more Hill? Do we see him in there at quarterback in a bunch of packages? Like that's my one issue with Derek Carr.
Yeah, and again, he just has a limited amount of outs relative to some of these other quarterbacks. He's not going to get there with his legs. Like he needs the 300-yard bonus. I'd say he's obviously going to have to throw a couple TDs through the air. What has to happen for him to do that? I mean, he's at home inside the dome. That helps. I don't really like that spot though. I'm trying to visualize games where the other team is pushing my quarterback to kind of hit their ceiling. And I don't see that with Carr. I think he might be more cash viable than tournament centric for me. I think he plays well, but not elite.
Okay. Any other quarterbacks to touch on before we move to running backs here?
Nothing for me.
There's a lot today. There's a lot.
Don't play the Arizona quarterback.
Who are your top 3 quarterbacks then right now for your expected exposure? It's still early, but going into week 1.
Fields. I'll say this, maybe not expected ownership, but over the field. What I'm anticipating over the field. Fields, Lawrence, Deshaun Watson.
Okay. So not going total dumpster diving, not expect with those sub 5K guys.
Yeah. Watson's the sneakiest of the bunch by far. He's not going to be my third highest owned QB, but I don't think people are going to play him at all.
But you think you'll be over the field by a decent amount.
Yeah, I do.
Not a lot of this Chargers Miami game for you, or I'm not saying you're fading it, but are you lower on this than it seems the field is right now?
I think so. Depending on, again, we'll have to monitor the tools. If I go to it, it would be the Tua side, just because I like that stack much better. I think it might just be more of a one-off situation or a full. It's very difficult to do this, but everyone talks about the game stack, the game fade. Say it goes and it just completely busts. You'll kill so much ownership if you dodge that game, and for some reason it doesn't shoot out.
And boy, it is tough. The Tua Hill Waddle stack, if you, let's say you wanted to do a double stack with Tua plus a run back, like even if you went Mike Williams instead of Keenan Allen, Mike Williams' price is pretty wild at 5,700. You still don't have a lot of wiggle room left for the remainder of that lineup.
No, and that's something, just to kind of, we're going to talk about that in the next with our podcast. That's exactly what I want to get into when you're talking 3 max single entry. That type of portfolio, I'm not sure there's a path in single entry for it. Doesn't mean it can't win. I think your margins are pretty small with that build, because a lot of people are going to do it.
We're going to hit 200 likes on a strategy show, man, while we're live. Appreciate you guys atoning for your sins early in the day. I mean, come on, man. This is like Christmas for adults. Sunday will be, but yeah. And Thursday's a little bit of an appetizer, but it's time to talk running backs. The top tier of running backs. Oh man. Eckler against Miami. All right. High total game. So we already know that Eckler is somebody that we're going to have to get into a little bit. But then we have Nick Chubb without Kareem Hunt. I still do not expect a ton of ownership going to Chubb. We have him projected at 5% right now. They're talking about potentially using him more in the passing game, but then you hear him like, well, we don't want to run him till the wheels fall off. So is he like a 20 look per game guy? That's possible too. Eckler getting the third highest ownership right now. Christian McCaffrey at 15% is the highest owned and also highest priced running back. That's slightly baffling to me. And maybe I'm just way off base with this one. Are we convinced that with Eli Mitchell in that backfield, that like he's not going to still get some work?
I mean, I get it. I still think McCaffrey, just because, you give him 6 to 8 targets, and now we know what he can do. I'll be honest though, if he's that popular, not that it's crazy, not sure I'll get there. I'll have some exposure because he's that good of a player, but I think I would rather play Eckler. We'll talk about Bijan. It was just the man, but man, 8K. I was not expecting that. Maybe you were, but it's a tough situation with the backs up top. I'm not really high on these top end backs.
Okay. Look, McCaffrey's an absolute stud.
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from him, but it's also not the best matchup. Like, what's the total in this game?
40.
What's San Francisco's implied total? I had it pulled up and I lost it.
Probably like 21.
Yeah, it's 21 and a half.
Yeah. This is not that big of a hot take. Steelers will be 1-0 come Monday.
Oh, you like the Steelers to win this game?
I absolutely like them to win this game.
Love it. Well, and by the way, they're only 1 point dog, or 2.5 point dog.
2.5. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's no crazy hot take, but I think the Steelers beat them. Yeah.
At 2.5, you just bet money line here instead of 2.5.
So I'll probably keep an eye. I have Odd Shopper right now, which is where I always use to shop the lines. There's nowhere even pushing 3. I'll probably wait, because if it dips to 2 or 1.5, what's the big deal? Maybe it does touch 3. And even if it gets to 3 at like minus 120, I'll take the points. If not, I'll go money line. Yeah.
John said, Laffy, if I sign up at Owner's Box, is there a minimum amount I should deposit to get the free month? I don't know what the minimum is. My guess is like 20, 10 or 20. I can see if I can pull that up for you.
Good question.
Oh, okay. It's 10. It's 10. Minimum is $10.
Man, God, that really is not to jump in, but that is like, I cannot speak. I've seen these packages. I tested out all these products, and yes, the Sims tool is getting a lot of talk, but it's still everything else. To get that for a month, even if you're like, you know what, this site I tested it out, and it's not for me, which I don't think will happen. That is a real steal. If you're looking to get that type of stuff for your DFS process for $10 minimum.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's better than the one we did for Yahoo a couple of years ago, and that was 2 months. Yeah, it's for sure better. So yeah, $10 minimum. Links down there. You guys already know. It's in chat too. Man, Nick Chubb's interesting though. I understand. I think it's going to be difficult to get to Nick Chubb. I do. I think at that price point, and it's not, the best matchup either. I think it is going to be difficult to get to Nick Chubb. I think we're going to be playing a lot of him this season in good spots. I'm just not sure this is the time to get to him. And with Bijan, are we convinced that Tyler Algier doesn't get some work here? Going back to a similar thought process, like that is a very expensive price point, especially in this mid-tier. Because of the mid-tier, there are some really nice options in the mid-tier as well and lower tier at running back. I'm going to go down below 6K with a good amount of running backs this week.
So am I. And listen, he's the new guy, obviously loads of talent. Everyone wants to play him. I think he's like, I know this is kind of stupid, but I think the stuff matters. Like, people seem to like him. They want to root for him, get him on their team. I just don't know if I can pay flat 8 for the unknown. And he's a player. There's no doubt about it. But like, I think I'm going to be going down more and more for pay down running backs this week. It's not to say I won't get a little of some of them, but I'm with you. I think that the value is pretty deep. There's so many backs in the 6 to 7K, like 55 to 7K that you can get to this week. Really deep.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about it then. So I was responding to somebody in chat. The mid-tier, you have ETN against Indy. You have J.K. Dobbins against Houston. Wouldn't it be something if J.K. Dobbins just comes out and gets like 5 targets in this game and you go, oh, okay, well, he's now an $8,000 running back immediately? Like that, I'm not saying that's going to happen, and it's unlikely. But you're going from a guy, and was it Greg Roman before, to Todd Monken? If totally different philosophy. What if they do use the running backs a little? What if Dobbins even averaged like 3 or 4 targets per game? What does that do for his ceiling and his floor for a guy that's already one of the most efficient running backs, running behind one of the better offensive lines in the league, as a 10-point favorite with a 27-point total in this game?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that just speaks to it's week 1. We're inferring a ton, and the pricing is inferring a ton. And I think the game theory amount is even more elevated this week than most, because there is going to be guys, when we do the show next week, we're going to say, can you believe he got 6 carries? Can you believe he got 8 targets? Can you believe this happened? And I think you have to make a couple of those stands blindly.
I have some real interest in some of these mid-range guys though. And I want to know where you're going. Like, are you number one, are you playing any James Conner? Cause it's a bad football team, but he's probably going to be out there for almost every snap. I still have some interest on volume alone at his price point.
Yes, I have some interest. I think he's going to probably be the most popular bring back to the Howell stacks, I would say. What do you think?
You think a running back will be the most popular bring back there?
Yeah.
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced he's going to be
Hollywood.
popular.
I don't know. There's not that many players to bring back, or maybe people won't. I'm fine with it. Like you mentioned, volume alone. And listen, the Cardinals are garbage.
I think it'll be $5,200 Marcus Brown, by the way. At that price.
Hollywood is fair. I get that. But this is still Washington. Like, they're 7-point favorite. This is no, it's not Alabama versus Middle Tennessee State on Saturday. Like, Arizona could win the game. I don't think they're going to, but I get it with Connors. I'll have some exposure, sure.
Lim Flam, man. Who the heck is Aaron Connor? I think I typoed that in the Jordan. Make that Aaron Jones. Yeah, I went James Conner, Aaron Connor. Just change that to Aaron Jones for me.
Aaron Connor sounds perfect.
Good. He sounds good. I like Aaron Jones this week, though. What? Why do you roll your eyes?
What do you mean you're always Aaron Jones? He's in your. You love that guy.
He's really good. I mean, he is getting what 12% right now, but he's 6,300. You have can we just call him a rookie quarterback? You know, he's not. It's like a rookie pitcher, right? Where they came up for a cup of coffee, threw a couple of starts, but they're still a rookie the next year. I mean, this is really the first year that you're getting Jordan Love in the mix steadily outside of like a throwaway game, which he didn't have last year, or an Aaron Rodgers injury. I think Aaron Jones could get a lot of work in this game. Yeah, you have A.J. Dillon in that backfield, but I like Jones. I like $6,900 ETN. Kenneth Walker, $6,000. I'm just going down the list, dude, of all of these mid-range guys. Madison against Tampa Bay, they're significant favorites, touchdown favorites, $6,500. Cam Akers against Seattle, fine, 10%. I'm a little less intrigued with him, though, just because I don't know if he's going to have pass catching involvement, despite what people may think. We haven't really seen it in the past.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams are low-key awful. I like Kenneth Walker. Of all the guys you mentioned, he's just volume should be there at home against the suspect team. I'm pretty content with that. Boy. I mean, White is down there. Guy Foreman. Yeah, Madison's also interesting because again, we don't know. We don't know what exactly he's going to do, and I think I want exposure to Minnesota. I'm not sure how it will be. I don't anticipate linking him with Cousins, obviously, but I definitely wouldn't mind a healthy portfolio with some Madison shares.
All right, you wanna
hold on? We have to. It's obligatory. We're not playing Mixon, right?
Oh, I thought you were going to hit me with the obligatory Miles Sanders. So
I leave.
So I could tell you, no, the only reason I ever loved Miles Sanders was because he was running behind the Eagles' offensive line. Like I thought Miles Sanders, and I know he has talent without question. Put him behind another offensive line that isn't the best in the league. I have a lot less interest in Miles Sanders. So I thought that's where you're going. At that price, I don't think you need to play Mixon this week. I think there are too many good players in that price range, and even a little bit cheaper, to where I don't envision myself having much Mixon.
No, I don't anticipate it either. I just have to mention them. Chat just brought up the Colts situation.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we will.
I want to hit on someone else first. Maybe this is my hot take, and maybe our ownership adjusts throughout the week because I think we're projecting him too low right now as far as ownership goes. How, if he really does come in like sub 5%, how do you not have a ton of Rachaad White? I love Rachaad White this week, dude. I love him on volume alone. He's going to be involved as a pass catcher, clearly. He is their lead back. Minnesota could route them fine, but Minnesota's defense is not good. And they haven't made enough improvements year over year for me to go like, oh no, they could be really good this year. Yeah, I think Rachaad White at 5,500. We'll talk about Raheem Mostert with Jeff Wilson out too. But Rachaad White in this specific matchup, especially as a capable pass catching back, he just makes too much sense for me to ignore.
Definitely makes a ton of sense. Game script proof. Seems early in the year to have a foothold. I will say this is not relevant right now. Sean Tucker is going to be the best back on that team. That guy is good, and he's going to show it eventually, and he's going to take over in Tampa, but I don't think it'll be immediately.
And they listed him as the number 2 on the depth chart.
He's awesome. Big fan of that guy.
But do you expect that like really early on for him?
No, definitely not. That's what I mean. Like it's I don't think actionable right now, but I like White. I think he's another guy you can bring back in stacks if you're. Again, we'll save some of this, but like I'm just trying to play it out in my mind. Maybe you go. I'm not really into Baker, but like maybe you go Baker with White and a receiver, a bring back of Madison, a bring back of Jefferson, something like that. What do you think about that? Putting him with Baker.
He's gonna be involved as a pass catcher, right? Like he has to be.
Oh, he has to. Yes,
he has to be. I don't. Guys like Leonard Fournette, remember the amount of targets that dude was seeing?
Yeah. I mean, that's where Baker makes it worse, though, because Brady was just throwing legitimately 1 yard passes. His ADOT was 0.
Yeah.
And so that helped pepper the PPR.
Yeah, but what's Baker's ADOT going to be?
No, I mean, Baker
0.2?
Just don't get me started with Baker.
Look, I forget about Baker. All I'm talking about, I think Rachaad White is very viable at that price point, especially if his ownership is low. Raheem Mostert without Jeff Wilson, that's interesting. Like I don't even if he plays, how much in the mix is Devon Achane going to be early on? Like, is this going to be Raheem Mostert's backfield? Because he is very talented. He's also very fast. He fits this offense beautifully.
Yeah, when he's healthy, and he should
not often.
Not often, but right now we can take advantage. And he's a great, if you want to talk about destroying a game, if Mostert, maybe he breaks like 90-yard runs, but say it's a run-heavy game, God, would that hurt the two? Like, he comes at the expense of popular players like Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And that's nice.
Exactly. Someone asked, is Achane active? That's what I'm saying. I don't know. He practiced, yesterday without a red non-contact jersey? But that doesn't mean, with a shoulder that he's going to be out there. I still anticipate Raheem Mostert getting the bulk of opportunities. And then, all right, I want your thoughts on the rest because we got so much to talk. These shows aren't always going to be this long. It's week 1. There's so many guys to talk about, and we don't want to shortchange you guys at all. I don't want to get to any Philly backs, but I'll closely be monitoring that situation very closely. Maybe I'll dabble. If you're like maxing the Millie, the $5, I'm not. But if you decide to do that, maybe you sprinkle in some Eagles spots because it's a great offense behind a good line. But you have Khalil Herbert down there, Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson. That sucks because they could split work, but they're in a great matchup. Jamal Williams without Alvin Kamara. But also, I don't want to overlook that that's not a good matchup on the ground for him at all. Taysom Hill could vulture rushing touchdowns. And then like a Gainwell or a Deion Jackson in the Colts situation. Go ahead and break this lower tier down wherever you want to start.
Yeah, so there's definitely a couple different things to note. First off, Jamal Williams, and probably rightfully so, he's going to be very popular. So that's something to consider. Yes, there's some positives, of course, that he's going to have a lot of work, but I agree. It's not the best situation in the world. I think he's firmly in play at that price point. But I'm not sure I'm going to get like 30, 40%, something crazy of him. I don't know what to do with the Colts situation. I'll be honest. This is just a weird situation. Richardson makes it even more convoluted. Is Deion Jackson really just going to be like a bell cow? Or are they just going to have like, he gets 8 carries, Richardson has 8 carries, some random person has 4 carries, and that's
Evan Hull. Evan Hull would be the guy if it's anybody.
Who the hell is that?
He's a rookie.
Well, good for him. But like, I just worry that there's no path to, not that he needs it, but how many pass to 20 touches for Deion Jackson?
I don't know. That's the thing. Like he had 22 looks. He had 12 carries and 10 receptions against Jacksonville back in week 6 last year without Jonathan Taylor. Taylor got hurt against Denver the week before. Jackson early in that game, if you remember. I remember it was a primetime game. Of course it was, because the NFL put every Denver game in primetime and made me suffer endlessly watching those games. He had 13 and 4. Like, I do think, if Deion Jackson is the guy, and Evan Hull's a rookie, so I don't, and Moss is still out, right? So I'm all right. Hull's was the 176th pick in the 5th round. I think I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I do think Deion Jackson could get a very big workload at this price point. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, the price point really helps. There's no doubt. I'm just not sure what to make of it. He's of course a very reasonable paydown option.
Also last year, you had statuesque quarterbacks in Indy, right? Like Matt Ryan could not move. The guy was strip sacked every time he dropped back. They didn't have anybody. So
yeah,
that definitely plays a role here. The Juice says White over Jackson then? No, I mean, I think both of them are viable. I think Jackson could get the receiving work. What is he, like 4,200 or 4,100 or something?
41.
Yeah, I like Jackson. If you were to give me your top running backs, right? It's just so hard because there's so many of them. Who would they be at each tier? So upper, middle, and lower tier, your top one at each tier.
It would be a top tier Eckler, even though I'm not sold on the top to begin with. Kenneth Walker. And then I think Rashad White.
I think White too. Yeah. Who did you have at mid tier? Walker?
Kenneth Walker. I like that spot.
But if I told you Aaron Jones or like, ETN were up there too, I don't think you'd argue me. That's the thing. I didn't mention Josh Jacobs either. He had 2 big games against Denver last year. I still, don't love the matchup. He's expensive, but is he viable? Sure. I'd go Eckler. Probably Kenneth Walker. But like I said, I could make the argument for ETN and Connor. I think Dobbins could have a big game if they stay on the ground a lot. And then Rashad White, Mostert, both of them viable. I like White more. And Deion Jackson, the more we talk about it, is really growing on me, because if you're not playing Deion Jackson at that price, let's say minimum salary, Ben, let me just crystallize this and then we'll move on to wide receiver. If you're not playing him, then that means not that you care about the matchup, because why would you care about the matchup with a 4K guy? It means that you're either worried too much about Richardson, or you're worried that Evan Hull is going to, a 5th round rookie is going to steal a lot of the volume.
Yeah, I think those are reasonable. Or just that you think there's an opportunity cost for any position, any of the 3 running backs that you can play. You know what I mean? Like if you're in love with the mid-range and you're just like, I think Kenneth Walker and ETN and Rashad White are going to smash. Like you just don't have room maybe for a guy that points per dollar could help, but raw points won't be enough.
Sure. And this is also working under the assumption that Zach Moss doesn't play, right? So
just I don't think is he even
ready to talk wide receivers and tight ends. Wrap this baby up.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. And we mentioned it earlier, guys, but the new NFL package, I know some people looked at this and they were like, man, why'd you change the packages up? I'm telling you, it's so much better. Before, if you had the NFL package or like the Stochastic Plus Platinum package, you had to go and purchase the NFL sim separately. And then you had to have something where you could generate the contest. Now, with this NFL package, we have the Pro, where the only difference really is that you can simulate, I think, up to 500 lineups, which is awesome if you're, not playing a ton of money, but you're playing enough. Or you like the 3 max, that's the single entry, the 5 max, the 20 max. Awesome. The max you can generate up to 10,000 lineups. All right. So I should say not simulate, generate up to 10,000 lineups. One thing about this though is now you need nothing else. When you just get the NFL sub, link is in the description for the Pro and the Max if you want to check all of that out. All you need, Ben, now is that one thing. You go in, you can generate all the contests for yourself, and then you can simulate them in the sim. All of that is right there. You can boost players to get more or less exposure to them. You can set all of your stack types, right? If you want like 30% 1-player stacks, 10% no stacks, 20% 2-man stacks, whatever. All of that in the sim. Sims are changing the game. And you no longer have to pay the $160 per month to get the sim on top of the package, on top of whatever you're using to generate those lineups. All of it is included. All of it. Plus, you're getting our ownership, top stacks tool, player projections, ownership, Discord, premium Discord, lineup generator, which you won't even need in this case. Lineup generator is still a la carte too, if you just wanted to get that. And it has Showdown. Sims is also built for, this will blow your mind, also built for Showdown. So you can use it for Showdown slates. And we incorporated Owner's Box as well. So if you signed up on Owner's Box, you've got that. Yeah, it is. I think this package, when they told me they were doing it, I told them I'm happy because now I don't have to tell people to go get this, this, and this. One spot, one-stop shop. You've got everything now. Link in the description and in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, just to chime in real quick on it, there was a time, there was just a lot of, oh, there's also this, there's also that. Now it's very concise. We've got Sims Max. It's really going to be if you want to generate, 10,000 lineups like that. If you say, you know what, I'm more of a data person, I want to see the Sims, but maybe I won't even use them. We still have that. It's on the left there. You see it. NFL data plus Sims. And then we also have, of course, the generator. But I think it really is the best of both worlds. I know anytime there's change, there's always, some people like things different. There's a lot of different preferences out there. But I just, having seen these, just to put it all together, to put the data and the Sims, and then give you kind of different tiers, I really think is the best for the users, which is what we're all about. And having tested these tools, I couldn't be more excited to integrate this into my process, because it's something I've never used in the past.
For sure. Oh, and I forgot to mention, it's 15% off the week or the month. Using the link in the description or in chat, 15% off the week or the month. I'm pretty excited about it, man, with football season rolling around. I think this is the right way to do it. All right, wide receivers. Let's talk top tier. We've got Jefferson, Hill, Chase, Brown, Keenan Allen, Waddle, DK Metcalf, all of those guys going on this slate. How confident are you paying for these guys, and which ones will not be, or you don't think or don't want right now in your player pool?
So I think, just looking at it, I'm pretty confident paying for them, mostly because I think I can get away with punting at running back a little more often, and spending up on these guys as the attachments to my stacks. Of course, Jefferson, Kupp, we'll have to see what's going on. Tyreek with the Tua stack. Jamar Chase freaks me out a little bit. I just don't know what to do. What do you think happens to Chase's ownership if Burrow sits?
I think it plummets.
Then I might play him. That, I think, could be interesting.
So, okay, do you know who their second string quarterback is?
No.
All right, I only know because preseason football betting. Jake Browning. Jake Browning's the second string behind Burrow. Like the downgrade from Burrow to Jake Browning is massive. It's as big a drop off as you're going to find, right? That isn't. It also isn't another thing. It's also not like you don't have T. Higgins out there too, and to a much lesser extent Tyler Boyd. This isn't like a situation where you get a backup wide quarterback, and DeAndre Hopkins was the only guy out there at times, and you're like, all right, fuck it, well, he's fine because he's going to get 17 targets. That might be the case with Chase, but I don't know. I mean, at that price point, I think it would be pretty tough.
I think Burrow's going to play, first of all, so this is all irrelevant, but like the line to me is saying that he's going to play.
Yeah, agreed.
Working down. Yeah, this is where it gets tricky, because you've got the two Eagles receivers who I feel like, they're both sub 10%. Devonta Smith is not getting any ownership right now. And we can't just ignore them. I don't think it's an objectively great spot, but it's still a high-octane offense. And then you've got Waddle, who's going to be popular. So it's a weird situation with this for me. I think I'm looking mostly stack-specific, like most. And if I have a dual-threat quarterback or someone that I'm not needing, DK Metcalf, Tyreek, and Ridley, I think, would be my 3 up top.
Okay. Yeah, I guess just this matchup against the Patriots, I'm not convinced that this defense isn't going to be pretty good.
It's going to be a slow, ugly game.
That's my concern as well. Yeah, that's my concern. I'm with you in that, hey, they're not getting a lot of ownership. Look, A.J. Brown last year with low ownership won people tournaments twice. Low owned, like 4% A.J. Brown won people GPPs, large field GPPs twice. Not saying it's not doable. But you're right. Waddle, if he plays, is going to get ownership. You like Metcalf?
I do. I think that's, again, I'm not going to play him with Kenneth Walker, but I want some exposure to Seattle. He's another guy who can just break the slate. And ownership-wise, I just don't see any way where Metcalf is popular. He's attached right next to Waddle if Waddle plays. That's a wide open range, and Olave is getting some love right now. So he's in a good spot to me, Metcalf.
Another thing in the mid tier, do you want to get to any DeAndre Hopkins? I just love this guy, but I'm also not blind to the fact like this could go terribly wrong. And in this specific matchup, I don't see myself rostering a lot of him at all. But I do want to talk about him because, you know, this is a spot where, like, yes, you have Treylon Burks. Chig was my man. You know that. I love Chig. I was early on the Chig train last year.
You
say that much. And I still think Hopkins is good. Even last season, when he came back, he was fine. It's just the team was terrible. But almost 7K in a pretty tough matchup, potentially a lower scoring matchup. I'm not even worried about the fact that it's a team that doesn't throw a lot, because I do think that Hopkins could command a massive target. I don't think this is like the Julio Jones drop off that we saw in Tennessee, right? I'm not equating that. I don't think that's apples to apples at all. Like, I think DeAndre Hopkins still has something left in the tank, but almost 7K in this game where probably run heavy, even if he has a large high target share, it concerns me a little bit against the Saints, although it is in that dome.
In the dome, and that helps. My biggest gripe isn't with Hopkins. It's just the opportunity cost that you mentioned. If everyone around him was 16% and he was 3%, it's okay. It's worth the risk. He's not going to be popular, but neither is Devonta Smith. Neither is Metcalf. Neither is Lockett. Neither is Ridley. Like, I have other contrarian options in the same range, and I just like them all better.
Who are they?
Metcalf, Ridley, honestly, Lockett, like Devonta Smith. I'd roll the dice with all of them before I chose Hopkins.
Well, and then you get down to Amari Cooper. You already said you have some interest in that Deshaun Watson Cleveland stack. Amari Cooper, you're getting at a mid 5K price point. That's intriguing. Or what is it? A high 5K price point?
58.
Mike Williams is what is he? 5,700. He's going to be popular without question at 5,700. I have no doubt about that. But some of these players in this price range, you know what? I'll tell you what, man. I even think that a guy like Chris Godwin is interesting at sub 6K. I know Baker Mayfield's not very good, but if they do fall behind early, it's not exactly like the most potent secondary you've seen for the Minnesota Vikings. They gave up so much production last year to even bad opposing teams that Chris Godwin is one of those guys. He's one of the best at yards after the catch players in the league. Baker Mayfield may just be able to find them and he breaks some loose. I'm not sleeping on Godwin.
No, I'm fine with that. And again, it's a game that I want exposure to in Minnesota, with Madison on the other side, maybe Jefferson on the other side. I have no Baker interest, but that doesn't mean I don't want Chris Godwin. And DJ Moore's right there too. I wanted to give him a shout out. I think that if, you can always run Fields by himself, but great new weapon for Fields. DJ Moore at 61, not going to be popular. I'm fine with that.
You like Christian Kirk or Christian Watson?
Not that I'm indifferent. Like, I don't particularly like them. I don't think they're easy X outs. They're just nothing.
But you like Ridley. So are you that much higher on Ridley than Kirk this year?
Yeah, I really am. I think a lot of people are, but yeah.
Ridley got steamed so much in best ball over the past.
That's what worries me a little bit.
Going in the second round, and Kirk was falling to like the late fourth.
Yeah, I'm team, like, I think Ridley might be, a top 5 wide receiver in the league.
Okay. Really?
Yeah, I think Ridley might be amazing. Maybe not. I don't know. What do I know? But I've always been a Ridley fan.
I mentioned earlier that I think Courtland Sutton is viable here.
He's
a couple of reasons.
I got like 30 top 5 receivers. Courtland Sutton's a beast.
Yeah, I'm not saying viable to be top 5. I'm saying viable on this slate.
Top 5.
Under the assumption that Jerry Jeudy doesn't play, let me ask you this. Who are your other viable pass catchers on this team? I'll do the heavy lifting for you, Ben. Okay. First of all, Greg Dulcich apparently isn't even the tight end 1 right now. So I don't know if he's going to be getting the snaps or it's going to be Adam Trautman, who followed Peyton over when he came to Denver. Right now in the depth chart, Adam Trautman's number 1, Dulcich is number 2. So let's just throw that out the window for a second. If Judy sits, Tim Patrick's done. He's on the IR. Hamler's out. Who cares? Marvin Mims is a rookie. So do you want to play some Marvin Mims at 3K? Look, I don't think it's the most insane thing to do. He's the de facto wide receiver 2 at this point. Courtland Sutton is, if Judy sits, he's the only guy out there that is even halfway distinguished as a wide receiver or a pass catcher.
No doubt about it. You don't have to sell me on. He's another one, Sutton. He's had inept quarterback play. He's been injured a ton. I think he's a star, and I think he'll have ample opportunities here, particularly early weather for Denver. When it gets to December, it's not ideal. When it's freezing, this is a good time to buy on Courtland Sutton.
How cheap are you willing to get at the position? Like Eli Moore, there's your 3K Brown stack right there. Elijah Moore is going to be involved. DJ Shark, maybe Palmer against Miami. Are there any real cheap guys that you like?
So I think they probably not as one-offs. Third man attachments, like you mentioned, Elijah Moore, someone like that. Even like a Tyler Boyd, though, Peoples-Jones. I might mix and match them with my quarterbacks, but I don't really see a ton else that I want to get to down there. Just because, again, even if they have a big play, you need to dodge dozens of other receivers that are, in the mid-tier that just simply outscore them.
How about some Tank Dell runbacks with a bump?
Yeah, that's going to be a no.
All right. Last one. We can't ignore this play right here. If Terry McLaurin doesn't play, do you think he's going to play?
Do I think he's going to play? No, I don't. But
that's you know where I'm going with this, then.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is a perfect segue into tight end too, because I think even a dirt cheap Logan Thomas could make sense against this Arizona team. But Jahan Dotson, if McLaurin is out, Dotson has to be, as far as value goes, one of the top options, right? As far as cheap wide receivers go against Arizona?
Absolutely. Now we don't know exactly what Howell's going to look. We don't know exactly. Maybe they just say, you know what, Gibson and Robinson, you deal with this. And they could do that and probably get away with it. But Dotson's going to be busy. Sounds from what it, again, I'm just reading a little blurb, but seems like Logan Thomas is trending the right direction. He's been a little banged up. So I get it. But yes, he will be one of the focal points for Sunday again, of course. I know you're just warming up with us here. You'll be seeing the whole crew on Sunday. I guarantee we'll be talking a lot of Dotson one way or another.
If McLaurin sits, you have to think Dotson's ownership is
cash viable.
Yeah. Also, 1 and 3 max contest. We're going to get into that a lot after this show's over. We're going to record a little 20, 30 minute podcast exclusive extended version of this show right now. And it's going to be strictly for 1, 3, 5 max contest, right? We're going to stick strictly to that, not large field stuff. We're going to stick strictly to the 1 and 3 and 5 max stuff. Really dig into what type of strategy for week 1 and the coming weeks. Each week we do this is going to be the one how you should be playing it. So make sure all of our podcast platforms head over there and check that out. It'll be out not long after this is done, or check it out later in the day or the week, however you want to play it. All right. Any other receivers? I think we covered them.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, if Thomas sits, that just creates even more of a mess. I'm not sure what I would do then.
Yeah. Let's talk tight ends. And appreciate you guys. We're almost at 250 likes. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, guys.
Impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Maybe we'll hit 300. Who the hell knows? It's week 1,
Always
everyone's
pushing.
In a good mood. Tight ends. Mark Andrews. I know you're not high on Baltimore stacks this week. This just could. Mark Andrews, before Lamar got hurt, and through like the first 5 weeks of the season, I know that he got hurt later in the season, but I think it was like the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season. Mark Andrews had the highest target share in the entire league. How much does that change with Beckham? Bateman's healthy. They have Zay Flowers they just drafted in the first round. Are you down on Mark Andrews, or does this make you like him more?
So honestly, I think there's pluses and minuses. The price isn't outrageous. Like, he's $300 more expensive than Hawkinson, $500 to Kittle, $1,200 to Goddard. I think the matchup is more of a deterrent in some regards. You can, of course, play him. He's a great player. Even though I do think that Likely is just an awesome player in his own right. That's irrelevant to this conversation.
I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's a player. I think it just depends on, this is a premium tag to tight end. How much value opens up, or do we need to save? It seems like, from what I'm thinking about, you'll have money if you want to go get these guys.
Well, my issue is that if at the mid tier, I don't love anything. Like Goddard against New England, I assume that's fine at 5K. Evan Ingram, okay, but there's a lot of mouths to feed there now. I know that's your guy. Dalton Schultz against Baltimore.
No.
Pitts. Cole Kmet. Like, Cole Kmet could be good. We saw over the second half of the season, he was the tight end 7 in PPR scoring. I get all of that, but they have DJ Moore now. Darnell Mooney's healthy again. Like, there's mouths to feed there on a team that, even if they throw more, probably isn't going to be passing a ton. Gerald Everett is probably going to be the guy that gets a lot of ownership in this price range.
Yeah. And again, he's in a great game. He'll be an attachment to Herbert. I'm going to do the same thing, but with my stack, which is Njoku right below him. He'll be my third attachment to Deshaun Watson. He's
super athletic tight end, has never had a good quarterback.
Yeah. He's got upside. He's got paths. Is it, are we talking, this again, that's an aggressive against the grain type stack. I just don't see a lot. I want to make a hero call on Pitts. I just don't think I can do it, though.
What about when you get into these cheaper guys? Like, what if Burrow plays? How about Irv Smith at a discount? What about if Logan Thomas is active? It seems like he's trending in the right direction. If he's not limited, what about him against Arizona? Chicago against New Orleans. I don't like that matchup personally. I love Chig. I don't like that matchup. I think down here in the low tier for me, it would probably be Irv Smith or Logan Thomas if he's active.
Yeah, Logan Thomas. Again, if you're going to Baker, maybe like a Cade Otton. He's at 33. Noah Fant.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't really want to do that, but I'm just looking at games. Seattle's a team that I want to buy on. Maybe Geno works his way in. I've got Metcalf. I need a pay down. I bring it back with someone. I don't know. This is a weird tight end batch. Kelsey's not here, and that makes it even weirder.
What about Luke Musgrave?
Who?
Packers rookie tight end. They drafted 2 tight ends.
You're in the 2K range.
Yeah, he's the one that is essentially he kind of came out of camp and came out of the preseason as their number 1 tight end.
I would have bet all the money that guy didn't have a pitcher on DraftKings. And he does. He's got a nice pitcher. Luke Musgrave.
I'm shocked that you don't know Luke Musgrave.
No, I don't know. That's a cool name.
Yeah, he was the 42nd overall pick, man. This guy was early 2nd round.
All right, let me see. Let's go to the videotape. Luke Musgrave for Oregon State. Yeah, I don't remember this person. Yeah, good for him. Probably won't be making my lineups. I don't know what to do with. It's an interesting thing because I mentioned Fields and I mentioned Moore. It's probably just going to be Aaron Jones centric for me in terms of Packers. I don't know what else I really want to do there.
We'll round it out with this. You guys know at the end of every First Look show, we flim flat said, man, someone like Durham Smythe's going to be optimal. Yeah, that would suck. They don't have a tight end. I mean, it's Smythe, but just because he's there. Eric T said Higbee will get steam. Yeah, that's the problem though, because you remember last year, and we could talk about Matthew Stafford's injuries if you guys want, fine, if you want to attribute it to that. I mean, we assume Cooper Kupp's not playing in week one, even though McVay's calling him day to day, right?
Yes, that's my assumption.
That offense was dog shit without Cooper Kupp. And that's the problem. Like some of these teams, you go, oh man, their top guys out. Now everybody is in play. Van Jefferson, Cooper Kupp has got to be viable now. All of these guys are going to be good. That Puka fella, but I don't have any confidence that this offense can function without Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I'm really the Cardinals are the worst, but the Rams are going to have a tough year. Real tough.
Yeah. Rob Frost says Juwan Johnson for New Orleans. Yeah, I mean, Juwan Johnson, I think is fine. I think he's fine. Pass funnel defense for Tennessee. I'm not going to argue you on that. But you have Michael Thomas back. You have Chris Olave. I don't know. Is that a spot you want to get to?
I mean, certainly not a spot I'm actively targeting, but again, I'm going to run obviously a bunch of sims testing out what we got there. And if he comes up in some of those lineups, I'm okay with it. I see how that could be. And he's certainly got, red zone equity, TD equity, and that's what you're looking for.
Big time, yeah. I wonder if they're going to use Foster Moreau.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what I wonder. I'm not sure. If Juwan Johnson was a little bit cheaper, I think it would make more sense. That's my issue. Like in that offense, there's still a lot of mouths to feed.
Hunter Henry. There are names there. I think you're just drawing to specific. Most of these guys are TD or bust, and that's okay. It's just the nature of it.
All right. I ask you this every single week. Favorite defense under 3K. Here's the kicker, though. You cannot say the Washington Commanders. That's just way too easy.
Yeah, that's fine. I wasn't going to say that.
Really?
No, I mean, you
do agree on paper.
Yes.
On paper, they are hands down, unequivocally the best defense on the slate, given the price.
I'll say this. If Burrow sits, I think Cleveland would be the easiest defense.
Okay.
At 2,600 at home against Jake Browning.
What about the Packers against Chicago?
I mean, I think that's a really good tournament defense because you're coming right off Washington.
That's why I'm asking. Them. Same price.
Yeah, I like that concept. I think it's pretty clear that the Packers could get negative.
Can I give you one more?
Sure.
What if Russell Wilson still stinks?
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at.
Right? What if Raiders. He still stinks?
It's possible.
Raiders are 2,300. None of us should be steadfast in thinking one way or the other about Russell Wilson. That he's going to be great now that Sean Payton is there, or that he's going to be as bad as he was under Hackett. But he could still be bad.
Yeah, it could be really bad, or just random stuff could happen. If I'm going to give you one YOLO, I'll go with the Dolphins.
Okay, really?
They got a lot of problems, but I don't care. I just want chances. If you tell me I got 40, 45 chances to have the ball, pop up in the air or get a sack, I'll live with that. Again, you're talking about rolling the dice. All it takes is a fluke turnover at those prices. It's clear to me that Washington is the obvious defense and the Browns are the obvious defense. Honestly, for me, if Burrow plays, I'm still going to play the Browns defense.
Okay. Well, yeah,
I like that spot.
What if I do too. Hell, if you played the Steelers defense in week 1 last year against the Bengals, you were in business. Burrow got picked off like 5 times.
Yeah, I remember
that.
Oh yeah.
With their new offensive line. Yeah. Hey guys, appreciate you. This is it, man. We're back. Week 1. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, Thursday, Friday, same time, Sunday. It all culminates in a 4-hour live stream starting at like 9 a.m. in the morning. Ben and I are going to go take a few minutes though after this is over. Film the extended version of this podcast exclusive, baby, and it's totally free. So come join us in a little bit over on all podcast platforms. And remember, best, most sincere or funniest or honest or just creative podcast review on any of our podcast platforms is winning a free year of NFL, free season of NFL package. It's the $199 a month. You're getting all of that, not 15% off, nothing. You're getting all of that for the entirety of the year. Second and third place get a free month. We're running this through the week. So you have through the week to leave a review and think of the best thing you can. Many of you guys have been with us for a long time. So think of your best memory, whatever it is, funniest anecdote, anything, and we'll talk about them next week. Appreciate you guys hanging. Hey, follow Ben at JazzRaz DFS, me at Laffy_D, and shout out to Jordan Klein for producing this one. Football's here, baby. Let's keep it rolling. We'll see you back here soon. Peace.